If you use an iPhone, a Mac, an iPad, an Apple Watch, an Apple TV, or are simply a technology enthusiast, you're going to love learning more about your technology with your new favorite geeks over at Mac Geek Gab. Get your questions answered and have some fun along the way. Visit macgeekgab.com or search for Mac Geek Gab on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Don't get caught without having Mac Geek Gab in your rotation. Hey Marty, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you, Chris?
I'm doing great. Yeah, in the midst of all the holiday hoopla here, I'm doing just fine.
I can't even imagine what kind of things are showing up at Chris's doorstep.
Oh, maybe a couple cables and maybe some new stuff, but not anything extreme though, really, but
Yeah.
it could happen, but probably not.
I'm still waiting for things to show up at Marty's doorstep.
Oh, man.
Christmas is here.
It is. Yeah. I wonder
Stocking
what will show
stuffer,
up there. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're going to talk about that later for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. We'll throw out some good stocking stuffer items that people might enjoy.
Yep, absolutely. We'll talk about bigger ticket items too, in case anybody's really into buying something for themselves or their loved ones.
Definitely.
Yep. But hey, welcoming everybody today. So glad you're here with us on MacChat. And I wanted to start with something that doesn't cost you any money, just a few brain cells, and that would be your favorite keyboard shortcuts for the day. What do you think?
Sounds great. Let's do it.
Cool. All right. Everybody can't know all of these. I don't know, a couple hundred of them. I don't know how many there are. There are some even that Apple hasn't published. I ran across a blog post a while back that, there's some that even Apple doesn't remember. Oh, yeah, that's right. We have a keyboard shortcut for that. So I thought I would share one of my favorites, and I know you have one that you really like, and maybe listeners could, write us the feedback at unmute.show.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. We'd love to hear if people have some good shortcut ideas or their favorite shortcut. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be great.
I should actually say keyboard shortcut is what we actually mean.
Right. We certainly do. Keyboard shortcut. Yep. And since we're using voiceover, probably some of these will be voiceover related. In fact, my favorite one of late is VO or Control Option F7. And you might have to press the function key along with that F7 key up top, depending on how you have your keyboard set up. But this is really cool because it cycles through the time and date, your battery level, and your Wi-Fi signal strength, which is really cool because I used to go to the menu, VOMM, and kind of wander around in there and figure out what my settings are. But did you know about VO F7, Marty?
I think I did, but it's been so long and I haven't heard about it recently. So it's kind of new all over again. You know how that goes.
Yeah. Like I say, it's not possible to remember everything. So it's really cool when someone reminds you, oh, yeah, that's right. It's just a really great way to get the information that you're looking for, saves you a step and kind of wandering around a menu situation. And so it's really good to confirm your Wi-Fi status in case things aren't downloading as you expect. And also great to check the time and your battery and just kind of cycle through there.
Definitely. And on that, here is a awesome shortcut as well. You can do the VO keys and then 2 M's in a row. So it's VOMM, and that takes your voiceover cursor right up to the top right side where you have all those little, like the clock and the date and all of the other little items that are up there. And you can navigate through them really quickly doing that. So that's a quick way to get up to those little utilities that are stored up there in the menu bar.
It is. And you can also add things to that too. Like I added my sound volume level to that. And so that was a cool thing. You can also add things to that.
I've got my Dropbox up there, which is awesome because I can just jump right up there, hit it, and then I'm right into Dropbox really quick. That's something I use a lot. So. Oh,
perfect. I didn't know you could add an app up there. That's really awesome.
Oh, yeah. You can put a bunch of things up there. As long as the app itself has, it's built in to have like a menu navigation or be able
Hmm.
to install it up in your menu. But yeah, there's a
Hmm.
lot of things up there that you can add. So
Oh, that's great. I'll have to
yeah,
explore that. That's really neat.
yeah.
Yeah, you also had another one too about repeating what voiceover last said.
Oh yeah, that was
The Command Shift C.
yeah, exactly. Command Shift
Hmm.
C. So like that comes in really handy if voiceover says something and you want to grab it really quick, you can do Command Shift C and it will save it to your clipboard and then you can go paste it somewhere, which is pretty cool. Like for example, you're looking up something in ChatGPT and you finally get it where you want it to be, or you want to copy something out of there really quickly, you can just do the Command Shift C, it will copy to the clipboard and then you can paste that into whatever editor you're using, a text editor, plain text editor, or whatever text editor you're using if you want to save something out of ChatGPT.
That's a great use for that because I know there is a copy function and all that, but it will grab even, I think, and you don't even have to let it finish reading. I don't believe which you also don't on your iPhone, correct? You don't have to, because it'll just copy that last paragraph or chunk of text, right?
Yeah, and it depending on like what apps you're using, some of them sometimes will remember what's on your clipboard so you can paste in things like that.
Hmm.
So like
Yeah.
if you remember you talked about a while ago about an app called Parcel, which shows all of your tracking, your packages and deliveries and things like that. So
Right.
let's say you were to copy something and then you were to open that app and you were to go to put the tracking number into it, it will recognize, it'll ask you, hey, do you want to recognize copy from, whatever it was that you copied it from, so
Hmm.
Safari
Yeah.
or whatever it is. So that's a good use case.
Yeah, it would be. And in this case, I think Parcel says, do you want to copies from VoiceOver? Paste from VoiceOver. That's what it says, which is really cool. It recognizes that it's using VoiceOver's capability. Because what I would do is I would do the three finger quadruple tap. And so
Hmm.
tapping four times with three fingers, and that's the equivalent on your iPhone screen. So yeah, it would want to know if I wanted to paste from VoiceOver. So I was so excited when that happened. I'm like, yeah, I
I know
certainly do.
it's all of a sudden a task that was difficult now is super easy.
It is. It is.
So I was supposed to edit this. By the way, this is Michael, the audio editor of the show, stepping in here for a quick moment. I was supposed to edit this like 2 days ago, and I should have because then people would have had time to fix it. Quick side note. The actual command that Marty and Chris was thinking about is VO Shift C. That's Control Option Shift C to copy the last spoken phrase to clipboard. Here's a fun one that I want to throw in there. Did you know VO Shift Z, like Zulu, will save the last spoken phrase as an audio file to your desktop? Maybe you need to show that web developer. What did VoiceOver say?
Yeah, those are great keyboard shortcuts. That's awesome. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to adding Dropbox to my menu. You'll have to
Yeah,
tell me
it
how
is
to do
great,
that.
and I will say, the feature that I like about it being up there is that as soon as you invoke it, so your voiceover cursor goes up to Dropbox in that menu bar, and then you click it, and then you get a little menu that opens up, and you can go open up, on your desktop, and it will just open up the main folder, and then you just have it right there to navigate through whatever
Mhm.
files you need to navigate through. It's fast. I really like that way of using Dropbox. It's awesome.
Sure. That's great. You don't have to go to the dock and find your app. And then if it's not on the dock, you've got to look for it in the applications folder or wherever you
Yeah,
put it.
it's always just sitting right there, and it's quick. Just access it really quickly.
That is great. Yeah. So those are great keyboard shortcuts and ideas to really improve your workflow. And so again, please let us know your favorite keyboard shortcuts
Yeah, we would
because
love to hear them. You can email them
yeah,
at feedback@unmute.show and send us your favorite keyboard shortcuts.
awesome. Yep. Well, you mentioned earlier that, you're wondering about what's going to be under the tree, and I'm just curious, if you're expecting a new Mac under your tree. Well, what's going on there? Like, what if somebody would like to have their family member buy them a Mac, or what if they want to buy a Mac for themselves for a great big Christmas present? What kind of things should they be thinking about?
Well, so you would want to definitely look at what are your use cases. What are you using the computer for? Now, something that happened this year, which is super awesome, they've changed the base RAM, the memory, from 8 gigs to 16 gigs on all the models that are
Great.
currently out. So what this specifically means is whether you're getting a laptop or you're getting a Mac Mini, you can get 16 gigs of RAM right out of the base model. You don't have
As it should be.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was saying. So the cool thing is, if you're looking for a laptop, all the MacBook Airs, and this is crazy to me, but they sell the M2 model still, they sell the M3 model still. So you can pick either one, and they come with 16 gigs of RAM. The bummer part is it comes with 256 on the hard drive still as the base model, but there's so much access to storage, whether it's virtual storage in the cloud like Dropbox, or like cloud, Apple Cloud, iCloud storage, or among many other services that are out there that do a similar thing. And there's also thumb drives and hard drives and all those kinds of things. So if you are someone who's doing an everyday task, like you're browsing the net, you're doing email, you're doing, all those basic things, even if you're doing, some photo editing, some light video editing, some light audio editing, all of that stuff, you can definitely go with the M2 even. It's so powerful, it's ridiculous, If you want something super lightweight and you want something that's portable, the MacBook Air is awesome.
Love
You
it.
can have the power and you have the portability. A lot of people really love that. You give up some ports. You only get, the MagSafe port and 2 USB-C ports. So you got to kind of utilize those sparingly, or you got to get a hub, something like a USB-C hub where, you plug it into one of your USB-C ports and then it carries a USB-A port, and a headphone jack, maybe a couple more USB-C ports, an HDMI if you have a monitor that's got HDMI. So, if you're looking for portability and lightweight, then you got to give up something, right? So,
Right.
if you want all the ports, but you still want kind of the portability, definitely one of the MacBook Pros is going to be awesome. They only have those in M4s on a new purchase right now, but even the M4 regular model is so powerful.
Yep.
It's kind of the happy place to go. If you're someone who kind of isn't doing crazy, power rendering, video editing, stuff like that, if you're doing mostly day-to-day stuff, but you're on kind of what we call the prosumer, or maybe working in a professional environment, people love that like regular M4 model because you get the M4 processor and you get all the ports on it, HDMI and Thunderbolt and USB-C and SD card slot, all that stuff. You don't need any dongles or hubs or anything. And of course,
Right.
it comes with 512 as the base model and 16 gigs of RAM, for the RAM, and then all the other MacBook Pro bells and whistles that you would get. Of course, if you need more power, you can always bump those things up, more RAM or more hard drive space. And of course, you can also go up to faster processors like the M4 Pro and the M4 Max, depending on how much power you think you need and how much hard drive space and how much RAM. So it's kind of endless once you start going that direction. And of course, those aren't quite as light as the MacBook Airs, but they're still portable and they still have everything you need. So you don't really need dongles or any of that. So
Right. That's awesome. Yep, I love my MacBook Air. I just think it's great. And it does still have a headphone jack, which is really cool,
definitely, that is definitely worth having for sure.
Yep. I really, really enjoy it a lot. And it is the 16 RAM. And it's just a great machine. I love the portability.
Yep. And if you're going Mac, like if you need a desktop type thing, then, they got that new iMac. It's a 24-inch display. Everything's all in one, all built in. So you basically have like a display, keyboard, and a mouse. It's got the M4. It's super fast, just like any of the M4s. That's a great purchase if you need a desktop. Everything about it's really nice and fast and snappy, and you get that Apple really nice display. And, they have a few different models you can configure up if you want more power, more RAM, more hard drive space and stuff like that. And then of course they've got the Mac Minis, which are
Right.
ridiculously powerful. The regular base model is awesome, super powerful. Anyone could do just about anything on one of those. But again, you can bump that up in spec. So you can add more RAM and more hard drive space. That new Mac Mini is a great barrier to entry though, because it's only what $500 or $600 for the
Right,
base
right.
model, and you're getting
Mhm.
an M4 with 16 gigs of RAM. Get an external hard drive and you're good to go,
Yeah.
But you can bump that up. And they also have that Mac Mini Pro model, which comes with a little bit more power. You've got the M4 Pro processor with 512 SSD and 16 gigs of RAM and all the goodies that you get,
Wow.
with it. So,
Yep. All the ports and everything.
yep. And on that new Mac Mini, it's very small. It's like two Apple TVs kind of. So it's like two Apple TVs stacked on top of each other.
Mhm.
And it does have ports in the front and the back. So that's really awesome too. Great machine. I would recommend one of those for anybody.
That's awesome. There's so many choices, and the price points for entry, like you say, are really good. You don't have to spend a boatload of money to get into one of these devices.
Yeah. And there is one other thing that people don't know about, but you can find them at Costco and you can find them at Best Buy, but they still sell that original M1 MacBook Air,
Right.
which is
Right.
kind of that slanted,
Mhm.
it's how it kind of is thicker in the back and then kind of gets
Yep.
skinnier in the front.
I
They're
had
still
one.
they're still selling those
Oh
at
yeah.
Costco and at Best Buy, and it has
Yep.
an M1 processor. I think it comes with, is it? I can't remember if it's 128 gig on the hard drive or
Mhm.
256.
I think so.
And then it's 8 gigs of RAM. Unfortunately, they're not upping those.
Yeah.
But still, it's so powerful for the most people. I mean, you can do almost anything you want on it. It's way overpowered. And those are going for, I think, between 650 and
Oh my
750 between
goodness.
Best Buy and Costco.
Crazy.
You can find them on
Wow.
sale.
Yeah.
So that's another
Yeah.
way to barrier to entry also right there.
For sure. Well, if you, coming from an Intel-based Mac, an older Mac, you'll notice an immediate difference like I did. I had a 2013 Mac before I upgraded to my MacBook Air M1, that came out in 2020. And that was amazing. It was so fast and snappy. It was great.
Yeah, so I would say right now is a great time to get a new Mac. Any of the M processors you get, depending on what you're doing, are going to be way powerful enough for most people. And they
Mhm.
start from all the way with the M1 all the way up to the M4 and everything in between. So, just kind of look at the task that you need
Yep.
to do on your computer and kind of
Mhm.
just to decide which you think is going to be the best for yourself.
Yeah.
And any one of those decisions is going to be a good decision. The only thing I would say about that M1 is you might want to go at least to the M2 if you need that 16 gigs of RAM. It's the only model out of all of them that have only 8 gigs still. And
Right.
for anyone, a student, a kid who's in school, anything like that, it's still an amazing machine. It's going to be still great, still super powerful. And for the price, you can't really beat it. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
but
And
what
they
is
last for years,
Oh yeah,
They do.
they do. They're incredible. But Chris, let me
Yeah.
ask you a question.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about getting a new computer, what do you need to do that's like the most important thing?
Well, I think I would probably, um, I'd have to be either restoring from a backup. Is that kind of where you're going? Or maybe
Yeah,
backup the
exactly.
thing after
Back up your
I
data. Where do you
Oh,
get your data from one computer to the
yeah.
other, from an old
Yep.
place? So you've got some great
Yeah.
tips and tricks on doing some backup.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I know that there's kind of, I think, a 3-2-1 sort of a rule. Have three kinds of backups. Two of them could be on-site things that you have access to, and one could be off-site. I think that's kind of what that refers to.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people will use iCloud or Dropbox. And I think that's a really great place to start. But sometimes people have either been locked out of their account or need something more robust. So, and especially if you want to transfer over lots of files, and maybe you have too many files for the backup service like iCloud, there's a limit, depending on how much you pay for, right?
Yeah.
And so I started out with Dropbox for sure, but early on, I started using Carbonite because it was a sponsor of the Kim Commando show. And I really love the Kim Commando technology podcast.
Yep.
And
It's a good
so,
one.
yeah, it is. And so then those are servers, cloud based backups, offsite kinds of things. And you can access your files, online, or you can access them obviously, once you download them to your computer, they're all there as they were on your other device. But then I went about 6 years ago to a service called iDrive, and it has nothing to do with Apple, even though it's called iDrive, and it's been really good as well. So I kind of wanted to talk about what to consider in a backup service and the differences between these two services. And these are not the only two services out there, but they're one of the two most often used, maybe most popular services, right?
Yep.
So, kind of comparing them, iDrive and Carbonite. So, um, you want to think about how many devices do you want to back up? Do you want to back up more than one computer, or do you just have one computer? So, for instance, the iDrive service has unlimited devices, but Carbonite is only, your subscription is only dedicated to a single computer device if you don't have like an enterprise account, which we wouldn't. And the iDrive, they both have mobile apps, and so iOS and Android. The speed of the backup, iDrive does incremental backups, so they're really fast because they only consider what has changed since the last backup. And apparently Carbonite does automatic backups every 24 hours, and they can be slower. They both have 256-bit encryption, but iDrive can use encrypted keys, which I'm assuming those are hardware keys. I don't really know a lot about that stuff, whereas Carbonite cannot. And let's see, when you want your stuff back, like say that you had a fallout with your data, or you just want a copy of it, you can get a hard drive of your files from iDrive. I'm not so sure you can do that with Carbonite. Let's see, versioning. I did read that iDrive retains like something like 30 versions of your files, from when they change. The
Wow.
Carbonite versioning may be less so, maybe the last 30 days, the versions, that you may have changed.
Yeah.
And let's see, the prices are pretty competitive. I think I pay somewhere in the $70 a year for either one of these two services. I just downloaded the Carbonite app again today for my Mac because I wanted to see if the accessibility still remained. I found the Carbonite app more accessible on the computer, and when I was using it, I was mostly using it on a PC, than the iDrive app. There are a few unlabeled buttons and things, and you can make your way around it, but there's a few things. So the customer support is really good. I've had a really good luck communicating with the iDrive folks. They have almost 24-hour support, and apparently Carbonite has 24-hour support that you can either call or email. And they've been super helpful. The prices, again, I was going to mention that there are 5 gigs free for iDrive, but otherwise you're going to, pay for the storage and for the ability to,
And do they go by
back up
tiers,
your
or you just
stuff.
pay one flat rate and you can have as much space as you need? Or
It seems like the space isn't as much of an issue as the features that you get and how many devices. So,
right?
with iDrive, it's unlimited computers. Like I have backed up my Mac Mini, my Mac. I guess there's no reason to quite do all that because they're tied into iCloud and they got the same stuff. But as well as my PC, and I've been really happy with it. I've just been tiny bit frustrated by a couple of unlabeled buttons, but it's never failed me when I've needed to upgrade a computer or download all my stuff. It's been really seamless to do that. And if you're away, you can log into your accounts online and access your files on the internet, or you could also use their apps. And from what I remember, their Carbonite app, and this could have changed, but I'll report back in maybe next time when I have more experience with it. But their Carbonite app on the iOS or Android versions were super accessible. And so I really appreciate having a backup service, because it means that if your computer just completely fries, you still got your stuff, as long as you make sure to tune into your regularly scheduled backups, because Carbonite will always do them. iDrive, you can set them on particular days and times, but if I forget to turn my computer on, there's a setting that's like, okay, if you miss a backup, start it right away. So
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
being mindful of your backup schedule. So
Yeah, definitely.
mhm.
There's also another company I'll throw in there called Backblaze. They've been around in the Mac platform forever. They're very Mac supportive. I haven't used it in a long time, so I'm pretty sure it's accessible, but you would want to double check for yourself and make sure that it is and that it works with your workflow, and make sure the price is, up to your par. It's
Sure.
I would look at everything always. But a cool thing that they used to do, at least a while ago, I think they still do it, but again, check and make sure. If you ever have a catastrophic failure and you need to get your data back, you can call them up and say, hey, my computer crashed, I got a new one. And they'll send you an actual hard drive with all of your data on it, like, overnight it to you or whatever. And that way you don't have to wait and do it over the internet. You can just plug the drive in and just put all your data back on there. And if you want to keep that drive, then you just pay for the cost of the drive. If not, then you can send it back to them, and you got your data. And there you go. So
That's awesome.
Backblaze, and they do have an app on your phone, and you can do all that stuff. And they've got, like the other companies, everything from one single laptop, and all the way up through enterprise. So depending on what your needs are and all of that, they're definitely a solid company. I would check them out. They're right in there with that Carbonite, and those companies. So that's a good one. And in terms of that, I would also highly say, as an insurance policy, I'm not going to say this is the best option, but if you're a Mac user who doesn't really want to have to worry about it so much, I would, get an external hard drive and just set up Time Machine and just let it do its thing in the background.
Yeah.
Because at least maybe it's not a perfect scenario for everyone. At least it's like an insurance policy. It's there, it's just backing up, it's just doing its thing, and it's just one more way to protect yourself and your data. And of course, from there, you always have external hard drives, have multiple external hard drives, thumb drives, all of the things. You can do multiple backups to an external hard drive and put one in one place, maybe one in a safety deposit box or at a trusted family member's house, or, something like that. But,
yeah. And you
backing
have
up
the
is
added,
important.
yeah, and that's so true. And then with Time Machine, you have the added security of returning the computer to the state it was in, right? Not just the files you have on there, but something with the operating system, don't you?
Yeah. So basically, with Time Machine, it basically is taking, in a easy way to understand, it's taking a photo of your hard drive and it's copying it and saving it to an external hard drive kind of over and over again as you go, most of the time it's really great. I mean, it's totally seamless. If you ever have a catastrophic failure or you get a new computer or something like that, you literally plug it in and choose backup from Time Machine, and you're on your way. And your computer in a little bit of time is back exactly how it was whenever the last known good backup was on that drive with Time Machine. I will say this. The only bad part about it is that because it backs up your whole entire operating system, if you get like a software corruption or you get some kind of funky thing that's like making your computer be weird because of some kind of software issue, you could put that back on if you just basically unload all of your Time Machine right back onto the computer again. That's the only downfall to it. that's one of the reasons why I don't really use it, but I'm really good about backing up all the individual files in all the places. So
Right.
it's just
Hmm.
it's like an insurance policy, honestly,
Sure.
you know?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's the number one way to go, but I would say it's a great insurance policy to have it doing its thing. You never know. It might save your butt,
Right.
you know?
Right.
But also
Exactly.
make sure you
Hmm.
do all the other things as well. You know, you can
Yep.
never back up too much.
No, no, absolutely not. Because you just never know when something's going to happen. And whatever you've created is too important to lose, usually. So,
Definitely. Things like photos, you can't go
hmm,
back and get those if they're
hmm,
lost, you know? So,
no, that's right. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. So, kind of looking ahead to the holidays here, if you had to suggest stocking stuffers for holiday giving for your Mac-minded folks, what kind of things are you thinking about in terms of stocking stuffers? Either you'd want to get in your stocking or that you'd want to put in someone else's.
oh, yeah. So, definitely USB-C cables. I say that all the time. They're all of the stuff that I have now is USB-C across the board. You know, my
Yep.
phone, my
Yep.
AirPods, my computer, everything is USB-C, all
Mm-hmm.
the things. So you can never have enough USB-C braided cables. The ones I like are from Anchor. Just recently, I bought a few because they had the 3-foot braided Anchor cables, and they were a 2-pack for $6, and they're
Oh my
amazing.
goodness.
So
Wow.
you cannot
That's
go
amazing.
wrong there. I bought a few packs of those because,
Mm-hmm.
you know, one in every bag, one in every go bag. You know, you need a
Yeah.
couple on, you know, for your desk, you know, and a couple here, there, and everywhere. You can just never have
Yep.
enough. Under the same realm, they make amazing chargers, ones that plug into the wall to charge your devices, and they also make Go batteries. You know, all different kinds that you know you can have in your Go bag to charge all your devices, and you can't go wrong with any of their stuff. It's all great, and they've got everything from every level. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely, those are great stocking stuffers. Battery chargers, cables, wall chargers. They're all great through Anchor. They make a great product. I would also say, you know, hard drives, thumb drives, back up your data. You know, I would say SanDisk right now is making some great products. They've got uh, 2 versions of their SanDisk SSD portable hard drive. It's tiny, like
Mm-hmm.
super tiny, and it's super fast. And they got a 1 terabyte model and a 2 terabyte model. And
Mm-hmm.
I want to say the 1 terabyte model is like 75 or $80, and they have a 2 terabyte model, which is like around $150. You can't go wrong with those. And they've also
Mm-hmm.
got thumb drives, which are great also to keep on a keychain or in your go bag. They've got the USB A version, which is the
Mm-hmm.
wider standard USB that everybody knows. And they've
Mm-hmm.
got the new version with a USB C, which is the smaller square version, which is just faster data transfer. And you can, like, you know, current Mac models now don't have a USB A port for the most part.
Right.
So maybe start thinking about going USB C.
Mm-hmm.
But all of those are great. You know, those are all
Yeah,
great stocking stuffers at every price level for every person, and they're all useful in every use case. So that's what I
they
would say for
are.
stocking stuffers.
Yeah, they totally are. Some of my ideas include maybe adapters for the USB-A to convert it to USB-C.
Yeah,
Because
you've got some ones that
sometimes
you like that are magnetic,
I
right?
do. Oh my word, I'm a Magnalink girl. I just love Magnalink. I have bought Christmas presents for people this year, including some Magnalink cables and
Mm,
extra tips, those little magnetic tips that go inside the port. And then
yeah.
the little piece that's sticking out is what's magnetically attached to the cable. And because in the package they have 2 cables and one of each of the common tips, the Lightning, the Micro, and the USB-C. And all that's about $28, which is not bad for all that. But everybody needs more USB-C. So I've purchased on a good Black Friday sale here recently.
Mhm.
I purchased like 4 packages of USB-C tips, which was great. And so I've got those happening. And of course, there are the adapters that change the USB-A into USB-C in case your computer doesn't have a USB-A port. And then I was also thinking about either Apple AirTags or Tiles. So I do have a couple AirTags, but
Mhm.
because I started learning to use the Android and it's one of my daily drivers in terms of my phone. I do have several tiles, and they are cross platform. So you can use the Tile app to you know, to connect to have it recognize the new device, add a device, and then it will, if you have it connected to your phone in that way, it will ping your phone and find your phone if you lose it, which is cool. Or you can have the phone ping one of the tiles that you have added to the app. So I have them all named, of course, like people do with their AirTags. So maybe I have my wallet, my, backpack, or, my mini guide, or whatever's going on. I have them labeled so that I know what I'm pinging when I use the Tile app. So I really
that
like
sounds
the
awesome.
tiles. Yeah, and
they got a lot of different models of them too. Some that fit in your wallet, right, and some
Yep.
that go on your keychain, and they got a whole bunch of different ones, right?
They do, and they have an extra plan that you can subscribe to and kind of insure your stuff in case it's lost when it has a tile attached to it. You have to take pictures and, I don't know, it kind of log it into the system basically. And then they have ones that are different. You can be different amounts of distance away to be able to hear the tile. It's pretty loud. It's not always to be a soft song. When the phone plays the sound, the little song that it does, it's pretty loud. And so I really like the tiles a lot, and knowing that they're cross-platform is great, because then it doesn't matter who you give them to. They don't have to be in the Apple, ecosystem, but nothing wrong with Apple AirTags either. They've saved people's bacon a lot, whether it's their lost luggage or porch pirate or something.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely have a couple of them. I definitely use them on the daily for, like my go backpack and suitcase and whatever, so they're awesome for sure.
Yeah, and they're competitively priced. I think the AirTags are about 25, aren't they? And the tiles are usually about 20. So they're pretty competitively priced, and the tiles come in different colors and different styles and all that sort of thing. Oh, and also the thing I like about the tile is that it has a hole in the end of it, so you can connect it to a keychain. You don't have to buy a holder for it, which is really cool. Apple wants us to buy all the accessories for the accessory, right?
Yeah,
And
definitely.
So you need a holder for your AirTag so you can attach it to something. But the tile has a hole in the corner of it, so you can attach a loop or a strap or whatever to it, and that's really
That sounds
cool.
awesome. I feel like I got to pick up a tile or two and try it out,
Yeah,
just
they're
to
really
see what the
awesome.
experience is like, because it sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's really great. Yep, and the app, of course, is on iOS and Android, so it doesn't matter which platform you're on there too. So it's
Oh, that's
great.
awesome.
Cool. Yeah. Well, hey, I bet we can help people spend some money, at least thinking about it, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely, for
if
sure.
I'm spending money, I want other people to spend money too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
And I'm always waiting, for Chris to have a little something show up at Marty's doorstep,
Yeah, right. Well, it hasn't happened yet, but
I should say something more than a lump of coal. How about that?
definitely not a lump of coal showing up.
Yeah.
Oh, this has been a lot of fun. Lots of good conversation about a lot of important stuff here, Mac related, in our Mac chat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, and we want everyone out there to have a great holiday, stay safe, and do all the fun things.
Yep.
And if you want to check out what we got going on, you can always look at the website, which is unmute.show. And if you have any feedback, questions, comments, or anything like that, you can always email us at feedback@unmute.show and send us your favorite keyboard shortcuts. We'd love to hear what yours are, and also maybe send us what you got in your stocking, or maybe what you're giving in other people's stocking. That'd be fun too, to see what all you out there are doing this year.
Definitely. Great. Well, have a really wonderful holiday, everyone, and we will see you in the new year.
On the first Thursday of every month in the Unmute Presents podcast feed, you can hear Chris talk about Braille. and the technology used with Braille, then and now. The show's at your fingertips, and you can get it by subscribing to the Unmute Presents podcast feed. Make sure that you're subscribed or head on over to unmute.show to search out old episodes.